talking about the idea that we set prices for specific reasons, right? There's a lot of stuff that have nothing to do with sort of accounting that makes us decide how much we're going to charge for something, right? We have to match the competition. We can't go far outside that, or we know our demographic, the group that we're trying to sell to, right? So there are things that have nothing to do with an income statement, nothing to do with anything else, that say, this is how I should adjust my pricing, right? We just know that in Lake Placid, for the exact same product, you're going to charge a lot more than you would in Tupper Lake, right? Because the income level is different, the expectation of the guest is different, the ambiance is typically different. It's just a different town, even though they're 20 minutes apart. We would all agree with that, I suspect. Okay, cool. So when we assign menu prices, we also think about something like supply and demand. How many people want the stuff compared to how much stuff I have? That allows us to sort of artificially almost inflate a price of something. We have to think about that. We talked about the idea that something outside the product itself tells us how much it's worth, right? The thing is sometimes not as important as the concept of where you're getting the thing, right? I can buy the thing in one space. We talked about the Mountaineer down in Keene, right? That ski shop. Oh, fuck. Pardon my, whatever. We talked about the Mountaineer down in Keene Valley, right? No competition down there, sort of an upscale ski shop. You'd pay more for the same product than you would in a mall in Rochester, New York, right? Because the quality idea is different. The service, how knowledgeable the staff is about that product might be true as well. There we go. Or there's the idea of value marketing, right? Come here because it's cheap. It's not great. It's not perfect. Our staff is not amazing, but the product is cheap, right? So different places have to match their price to the marketing that they put out there. I think we'd all agree with that too, right? You go to some places not knowing that the service and the surroundings and all that isn't going to be great, but boy, is it cheap. And you'll put up with that, right? So some places go, let's have very inexpensive, but we'll push them right through. Other places, you know, pizza place. We talked about a lot of places that are able to do that. But here in this class, we're going to bring into account for initial pricing. We do have to keep cost of goods sold percentage in mind, contribution margin in mind. Once we get a base price, then we can adjust whether or not we have to lower it a little bit or we can raise it a little bit based on those other things. That's an important concept here. You have to take a look at the mathematics of it, right? What should I be pricing this at based on the cost of goods sold percentage standard that I've set or the contribution margin standard that I've set? And then after that, I can look at something and say, oh, knowing my market, I can get a lot more for that than what I have to. Does that make sense? That you can use the math and say, the minimum price I should be getting for this in order to make a profit is $8. But you can look at your market and go, those dummies will pay 12 for this. There's no reason not to raise it to 12, right? You might have something else that says that $8 minimum, but you go, there's no way my demographic's gonna pay $8 for this. So you might lower the price on that. So some things you overcharge, if you want to think of it this way. Some things we overcharge on and some things we undercharge on, so we can have a menu that makes profit all the time. In order to serve a steak that, you know, that I have to sort of charge less than I should, I have a pasta on the menu that I can charge more than I should. And then I can have pasta on the menu and steak on the menu, and people buy some of each, and I'm cool. That makes sense? Some things I raise the price even though I don't have to. Other things I go, ooh, I really should charge this much, but I can get away with charging less because the other stuff that I overcharge on. So we talk about COGS percentage. We know that. That's just a vertical analysis, right? Item contribution margin is just the subtraction of how much I make them pay for it minus how much it cost me to make it using raw ingredients, right? I'm not putting labor into that. COGS is not labor, right? It's just that first section. We're just remembering our prices. We know that revenue and price are not synonymous. When we talk about revenue, all the money I brought in from selling all the stuff I did during a time period. Price is the amount I make selling one item. Revenue is the money I brought in during the day or the week or the quarter or the year. Price is how much I make when I sell one of these items. Revenue and price. Just so we're, it's the same way when I talk about revenue and profit. Revenue and price are similar but not synonymous, right? And people often talk about revenue and profit or income, all like they're the same thing. Revenue is all the money I bring in. Profit or net income is what I have left after I pay all my costs associated with making that revenue. And price is the revenue I've assigned from one thing. This thing has a price. Then we went through some very easy stuff and some examples, right? And you can go through these yourself, just read the menu, and I did an example. I have a standard 38% food cost. We know that that 38% is set by maybe my board of directors, or maybe by the franchise tells me you should have a 38% food cost, or other restaurants that are like me also have a 38% food cost, and I'm trying to match them because I see that in the sort of sub-market of the restaurant world, 38% is standard. That's what I match. So that's what I want to see when I do my vertical analysis, right? I want to see 38% right there. I can't even see my face, man. Let's try that. And then I did one for you. It's just real easy, right? Know that I said 38% in one place, 40 in another, but you get the idea. Very simple formula. And I know that that's $9.12. I'm certainly going to round it up to $9.25. I might even adjust it further, up or down, based on my market, based on other prices on the menu, all those sorts of things. We won't go too deeply into that in this. Then we have the idea of contribution margin. Contribution margin just means the same thing, but in dollar amount. Remember, how much do I make you charge for it? How much did it cost me to buy the raw ingredients to make it? This minus this gives me my contribution margin. That margin, that amount left over, then contributes to paying for rent and labor and insurance and blah, blah, blah. The only thing that's been paid for at the contribution margin level is my cost of goods sold, the stuff, the thing I sold. You see, when I'm doing this kind of pricing, it's only for places that sell a thing. If you sell a service, this is not the way to price, but this is for a thing. Goods, you sell goods, so you have a cost of goods sold. Great. And then I gave you one of these examples as well, right? Well, charged you $9.25 for it, cost me $3.65 ingredients. My contribution margin is $5.47. Is that profit? No, it's gross profit, contribution margin, but I can't spend that on stuff for myself, meaning the property yet, because I've got to pay for all this other stuff, right? How much did I have to pay to get it, to make sure it stayed cold? Utilities. How much did I have to pay to have somebody create the product, sell it, that sort of thing? Labor. How much did I have to pay to house it in this space? Rent. All that comes out of the contribution margin. It's just an income statement, right? We remove these costs, then these costs, then these costs. Ultimately, I've got net income or profit way down at the bottom. So then I do a menu engineering analysis. Popularity compared to profitability, and then we went through different categories, right? We talked about stars and puzzles and plow horses and ultimately dogs. Yeah, a star is super popular and super profitable. I like that. We talked about what we might do when we see a star on the menu. Then we talked about puzzles, right? The idea that, boy, it was quite profitable. But when we talk about profitability, we're talking about this, did I make money? No, how much money did I make compared to average? I call that the contribution margin is profitability. Menu mix is popularity. Sales mix, now we call it menu mix, is popularity. I compare these two things and then I categorize. Depending on the category, I treat them differently. Puzzle, oh, I make a lot of money every time I sell one, meaning not revenue, but contribution margin. There's a lot left over every time I sell one of these. Nobody buying it. A plow horse, oh boy, I don't make much. There's not much contribution margin, profitability, but boy, is it popular. We take a look at that differently. A dog, nobody likes it, and I don't even make money when I sell it. A dog. And we went over blah, 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 blah. I don't think we got as far as dog. Emily, tell me, what would you do if you saw a dog on I should say it that way. That it was low contribution margin, meaning you know, there was some money left, not a lot though, every time you sold one, and not a lot of people purchase it. What kind of questions would you ask yourself, or what would you do with this menu item? Would you get rid of it? Why is it on there, right? Get rid of it, maybe. It's just taking up space. Colby, how about you? What would you definitely get rid of it, or are there any other questions you ask yourself? People on Zoom, by the way, this is where you might be tempted to zone out and watch TV right now, meaning be on TV or check something else. But this is what you are graded on the next set of tests. This idea of being able to just create an income statement and getting good amount of your test score on that, those days are over. Now you've got to prove you understand stuff. So let's go to Colby, and then we'll go to some folks on Zoom and see what they think. Yeah, Colby.
I think you gotta look at your whole menu and decide, is it really worth it to keep selling it? Maybe for some reason it goes good with something else. I know it's not popular, but looking at that.
Yeah, here's the deal. Sometimes if you're a certain type of place, and we're going to talk about it as a restaurant, right? But if you're a certain type of place, you have to have this thing in order to be that kind of place. You know, an Italian restaurant, but there might be a dish that your Italian restaurant has always had. Mama Lucia's fill in the blank. You don't make a lot of money on it. Nobody really buys it, but you can't take it off because then you wouldn't be Mama Lucia's. Sometimes you're stuck with a thing in the restaurant, or no matter what you're selling. Does that make sense? Right? Look, that's why a hotel, this is kind of a different idea, but from a marketing standpoint, that's why a hotel has a pool. You probably have gone to a hotel where there's a pool and nobody is ever in the pool. I swear to God, I've worked a lot of places, a lot of nice places with beautiful pools, and you look there and sometimes there's kids splashing around, but for the most part, the pool's not hugely used. And yet, if you didn't have a pool, everybody would think that you were a garbage dump of a hotel, right? It's the basis. If you're a full service hotel, you must have a pool. It doesn't make you money. In fact, it costs you money to have it. But if not, nobody would stay there. So a dog is something like that on a menu as well. Remember, we're not always talking about a food menu, right? We're using restaurants because we can picture that most easily. But any place that sells goods has the same idea. They have stars. There are different terminology in different industries, but you can see it. Yeah, Paige. You could. Here's the point. This is what managerial accounting is. It's looking at it and saying, what would my market do if I got rid of that? Would they say, oh, they're changing too much, I'm not going there anymore? Right? That's how. Now look, I don't expect, if I give you an example, I don't expect you to say, do this or do that, but I do expect you to know, maybe I would do this if this was true, or maybe I would do that if that were true.
Joe.
Yeah.
But like with the example you gave with the pool, so like, yeah, in that specific department, it's not helping like popularity and stuff, but the pool does bring in more people into the rooms. It does sell, like it catches people's eyes.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would be a good idea to take it out.
Bingo. So the pool, let's think about the pool as a dog, right? From the hotel world, the pool's my dog. Yeah. Not, people really don't use it. It's not popular. And it just costs me money. I don't make money on it, but I'm not getting rid of that pool. Because if I do, you're exactly right. It brings people in to do other stuff. So the dog, if I take the dog off my menu, it might deter people from coming in at all. Yeah. They might not end up using it. Do you know what I mean? But the family goes, oh, the kids will love the pool. And then they don't end up using it, but it's there. That makes sense to everybody on Zoom too?
Yep.
Yeah, cool,
Yes.
cool. Because it's hard to think about. Also, sometimes you have a dog on the menu, but it's just a collection of everything else you already have in house. Do you know what I mean? The ingredients are stuff that you use in every other dish. So what the hell? Have it on there. It doesn't hurt you, right? If your dog has an expensive item and it's the only thing with lobster on the whole menu and nobody buys it, and it's the only reason you're keeping lobster in house all the time, get rid of it, right? Does that make sense? And well, look, you just have to start thinking about it from a business person's standpoint. There are different reasons why I would or wouldn't keep a dog on a menu. Sometimes it's just a standard, like the pool, right? I have to have this thing on my menu if I'm going to be this kind of retail space. Other times you look at it and say, it doesn't hurt me. I already have all this stuff all prepared, in this case, a restaurant in the kitchen. I'm just throwing it together in a different version. Why not? Why not have it? It adds one more thing to the menu. Sometimes you might look at it and say, yeah, why do I have this? Nobody likes it. I'm going through all this trouble to have the ingredients in on it. Look at it as Kenny's sneaker store. He might have one style of sneakers that after he does the calculation, he goes, oh man, that brand is a dog. Well, do I have to have this brand in order to be a high-end sneaker store? Who knows, right? Kenny would have to look at his own company and decide that. I don't know the sneaker retail world, but I know that that's a question I would ask if I was brought in as a consultant to say, look at our menu mix. I would say, why do you have this kind of brand there? It's a dog, right? You don't make a lot of money every time you sell one. The difference between what you pay for the sneaker and sell it for, very slim. And you don't sell a lot of them. You got a lot of them hanging around. Kenny might be like, oh, no, you don't understand. That brand we have to have and put in the window so people will come in and buy the other stuff. Does that make sense to people who aren't restaurant people, maybe? I hope. You get the idea. Each of these have, and we're going to talk about this more, because this part is managerial accounting, and this part you can use day one when you manage, right? To create a menu engineering worksheet, run through it, and then do it. Anybody have a question on that? We're going to talk about the others again, don't worry. All right, I'll assume that you know what I'm talking about. So the engineering worksheet, let's take a look at it on Canvas. You don't have this open on Canvas because I just want to do it and have you just watch me do it. I have this idea that when there'll be some people who aren't going through the process with me. They'll just start doing it themselves or whatever. So I just want to go through the process once. Then I'm going to give you one to do on your own. And then you can ask me questions as we go. But the one that I'm asking you to do in class, remember there's another one to do. Well, I don't know, we'll see. If you get the stuff done in class, you don't have to do it for homework, right? Why bother? But so don't lollygag in class and think, I'll just keep doing this to the end of class. Then he won't teach us anything else. This is your job. Go as quick as you can, okay? Done good. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so you have this here. You have this as well, but I haven't made. I don't think I've published it yet because I want you just to watch this, and you will stop me when you have questions. These are the items on my menu. Does that make sense? Yeah, right. These are just the items on my menu. And then over a time period, say, I don't care, a month or a quarter, this is how many I sold of each item. Does that make sense to everybody? I just counted. I didn't count, the computer counted. And then I added it up. Here are all the dishes I sold, and here's it broke down by the each. Cool. You know what? I'm going to do a menu mix. MM stands for menu mix, just like sales mix. It's a sales mix of the menu. Which items were most popular? That's all I'm doing here. And take a look. Total number sold, there. Divided by total sold. Oh, there. I can do that. I'm going to do it right now. Equals number sold divided by total sold. With any luck, it'll be a percentage. Yes, remember, you prepare your cells prior to doing your work. And you know as well as I do, if I do the little dollar sign here, it is going to allow me just to do a drag down. Should be 100%. There we go. And we can see that some things, prime rib, they love it. 14 of all the dishes sold, 14% of those dishes was the prime rib. Salmon steak, they don't like the salmon steak. Only 5% of the time people are ordering the salmon steak. That's a menu mix. Anybody have any questions on that? Please ask. Okay. And then you see that the menu price, I've already set my menu price because I know how much it cost me to make that. When I put together the lamb chop dinner, it cost me $8.70. I got to buy lamb chops. I got to buy asparagus. I got to buy potatoes. I got to buy rolls and butter. That all comes with, the lamb chop plate. Add up all those things together, $8.70 for me to buy the raw ingredient to make the lamb chop plate. I'm going to charge $28.95 for it. Partially because I have to, and partially because people will pay a lot for lamb chops. And lamb chops take a lot of labor. So I have to add that in. This is all stuff you know when you're doing the pricing. But I'm giving you the pricing. I'm giving you how much it costs to make the plate. I'm giving you how many were sold. So this column, you would have to figure out. And by the way, it's just the sum of the ingredient cost, the price on the menu. Now, our item food cost percentage. Our item food cost percentage. The formula is there, right? It's just item food cost. Oh, there it is. Divided by menu price. There it is. This is telling me my food cost percentage. It's just a vertical analysis again, right? Part over the whole. I'm going to drag this down, and even though I know, there you go. With that, I don't have to put a dollar sign in because it doesn't have the same denominator, right? Just know that. Now take a look at these. Sometimes of the price that people pay for the 8-ounce steak, 32.6% of that, $19.95, goes to pay for the steak itself, right? So sometimes a large percent of the menu price goes back to pay for the raw ingredients, sometimes smaller. And that's okay, because in the industry, we have a 33% food cost percentage. So on average, if I'm getting 33% on each item, then I'm okay. That's a standard that the industry has given us. We see that sometimes it's lower than that, sometimes quite a bit lower, sometimes it's quite a bit higher. So I'm juggling it right there. I'm staying right in that 33% range. Does that make sense to everybody? The calculate, yes.
So last week, how much are we going to pay for the participation?
Exactly. When I sell an 8-ounce steak, it costs me you come to my restaurant, costs you $19.95, right? So right off the bat of that $19.95 I get for you, 32% of that $19.95 is going to be, it's already eaten up because that goes back to pay for the steak I bought in order to cook it and serve it to you. Cool. So, and then we have contribution margin, even easier. I think there's something about percentages that mess people up. Once you learn how to think in percentage, it's relatively easy. But the formula is right there for you because the formula, the computer's doing this for you. I need you to know how it happens, but it's more about what the result is and how to interpret it. So with an item contribution margin, it's the menu price minus the item food cost in dollars. Notice that sometimes we're speaking in dollars, sometimes we're speaking in percentage. Do you hear that? Do you hear about that Canadian accent when I said dollar? Sometimes because I grew up on the border, right? Sometimes my Canadian accent comes up like dollars. I hear it myself. So menu price, it's right there. Minus, you know how to use Excel to this point. Good luck. Minus that. Every time I sell a steak, $13.45 remains with me, right? $6.50 goes to pay for the steak and whatever was on the plate, raw ingredient. The other $13.45 stays in-house. Is it profit yet? Oh no, I got to pay for labor. I've got to pay for insurance. I've got to pay for rent. All these things come out of that collection of, contribution margins, which come up with my gross profit, right? So 13, so I know right off the bat, 650 is gone, that goes to pay for the food. The rest goes to pay for all the other costs of running the restaurant. And then after that, if I have anything left over, there's my profit. Think of how this looks on an income statement, right? Revenue up here. How much money did I bring in? Minus, how much did I use in cost of goods sold? The raw food gives me a gross profit. After gross profit, I pay for everything else. Net profit. Drag that down. Now, you should be taking notes now, but even if you're not, you can go back and listen to this again, right? The nice thing about having all these things recorded is that I expect you that to be your first stop instead of emailing me at 1 o'clock in the morning, expecting somehow for me to get back to you for a 9:35 class. That will never, ever, I assure you, that will never, ever happen. And not because I don't want to help, but because I'm in bed. And if I'm up at 1 o'clock in the morning, something very bad has gone on in my life, just to let you know. It's never because, oh, I was out. Nope. Those days are over. Hey, look, just my menu food cost. Yeah, is simply my number sold. You see it, my number sold times my item food cost. All that is saying is, I know that it cost me $6.50 to pay for one steak. But I didn't make one steak, I made 331 steaks. So this is just telling me, overall, how much steak stuff did I have to buy for this time period? Every time I sold a steak, it cost me $6.50. But how much did it cost me to make 331 steaks? That's just a formula and a concept. If you don't understand that concept, well, it's just multiplication, right? I can add this right up. Total for this time period, this is how much, where's my sum? That is how much food I had to buy. I had to buy $20,282 worth of food because each of these food costs times multiplied by how many I sold it. And then the menu revenue, that should be easy then. Well, how many did I sell? And what was my revenue for each item? Remember, revenue per item is price. And again, formula's right there. So for steak, I made, for this time period, I made $6,600 in steak revenue. But right off the top, $2,150 of it went to pay for the steak. The rest is my contribution margin. You should start to think, oh, now I know how they're gonna get contribution margin. Yep, here it is. You see it right there? Yep. So number sold times menu price. And just take a look where the number sold times menu price. And basically, if somebody asked you, how much did you bring in on steak last, in this case, last year? You say, well, sold 331 of them, got $19.95 a piece, $6,600 just in steak. And then they say, yeah, but what's your food cost? Well, you know, my food cost is 32.6. That means that that 6,600, I've already spent 2,100 of it because I had to buy the steaks first. I had to buy $2,100 worth of steaks in order to sell them and make $6,600 in steak. Because I got to buy the steak before I sell it. You do. That's why we take that right off the bat. I have to buy the food first. So by the time I sell it, I'm already in debt because of the steak, you know, and I don't make any money until I sell them. So you have to think how, right? Where your money, when you spend your money, when you're making money. That cycle. Everybody cool on Zoom, right? You're following this, I suspect. It's just this, number sold times item, number sold times item contribution margin. Again, just know that this is the formula, but what it really is, there's another way to do this, by the way, you can just do a subtraction, right? So somebody comes up and says, hey, how are chicken breasts selling at the restaurant? Really great. I sold 320 of them during this time period, and they are $18.95 a piece. Holy cow, you made $6,064 in chicken breast alone in revenue. Yeah, but you know, I had to buy $1,680 worth of chicken and stuff in order to sell that. That's okay. I had $4,384 left over after I paid for the chicken from the revenue, and now I'll use that to pay for all my other costs. You know what? I'm gonna add this one up too. You know why? Because it's highlighted in yellow. If it's highlighted in yellow, you know I want a number in there. So in, you know what? Let's add this one up just so we can make a point. So during this time period, selling all this stuff at these prices, I brought in total revenue $66,909. But I had to buy $20,000 worth of food in order to end up making $66,000 in revenue. And after I paid, you know, after I removed the amount I paid for that food, I have $46,627 left in gross profit. Remember where that would fit on an income statement? Cool. Okay. So I'm getting close. I'm getting close. Let's take a look at a couple of other highlighted yellow areas. Again, now I just have to know these things. These things will never be on a, and this is in order to find out what's a puzzle, what's a star, what's a dog on my menu. Look, I just have another formula here. Total contribution margin divided by total sold. I know where those are. Total contribution margin, ha-cha-cha, divided by total sold, bada boom. There should be a dollar amount, $14.97. You know what that means? On average, every time I sell a dish at this place, I end up with $14.97 left over. Sure, some dishes give me more than $14.97 in contribution margin. Some give me less, but on average, my average contribution margin is, meaning the amount I have left over after I get the menu price, subtract the food cost associated with it, the ingredient cost associated with it, I have $14.97. That's my average contribution margin. So I can take any of these items and I can compare it to the average and say whether it's high, more than, or low, less than $14.97. It's just a series of steps. None of these steps are difficult, but you have to follow them. That's why I'm showing you in order. And then this Q factor. Q factor is an interesting thing. It's a statistical analysis that has been brought up over the years, and you just have to trust it. It's based on the idea that no one item on any given menu is ever going to be more popular than 70%. Meaning if you give people a choice of menu, no one item is going to be the one people choose more than 70% of the time. That's it. Just fill in the formula and know that statisticians figured it out for us. We had 11 items on the menu, right? 11 different things we offer on the menu. Would you agree? So equal, open parentheses, number of items, 11 in this case. If you had 9, it would be 9. If you had 43, it would be 43. What's the name of that place that I like? I often say this to people and they're like, I don't live in your head. It's like a fancy Olive Garden. Cheesecake Factory. You ever been to one? They got a million things on that menu, right? Imagine their menu engineering thing. Very difficult. They would categorize it, right? All the appetizers separately, all the entrees separately, all the desserts separately. So theirs would be 53 items on the menu. We got 11. Divided by 100, close parentheses, the formula's there, times 70%. I always go the old 0.70. You could put 70 and then press percent. You see what I'm doing? Boom. So Q factor should be a percentage. Sorry, y'all. I think I put that in on purpose so I could show you this. And then I forgot about it. This is the thing. I get so tricky. I go, yeah, that's how I'll do it. And then when I do it, it seems like a mistake. Or it could just be a mistake. I don't remember. But we'll do it again. 11 divided by 100, close parentheses, times 0.70. It's right there. Yeah, 7.7%. That means average popularity is 7.7%. Remember, this measures my popularity, right? So if it's higher than 7.7, that's a high popular dish. If it's below 7.7, it's a low popular dish. Does that make sense? Right? We're just kind of categorizing stuff now. So let's take a look. So our contribution margin, remember, we have an average contribution margin here of, you got to remember this for me, $14.97, okay? So I take a look at each dish's and I think I have it right here, is it higher or lower than average contribution margin? Well, we know average contribution margin is $14.97, and the item contribution margin is right here. So is $13.45 higher or lower than $14.97? I'm going to say lower. If there's anybody who disagrees, I don't know why you would. The number is higher or lower. I'll think of it as the most boring Price is Right game ever. Right? Is $15.15 higher or lower than $14.97? Higher, lower. Tell me if you don't know what I'm doing. I mean, it seems obvious to me. Higher, higher. $18 is higher than $14.97. 20 is higher. $13.75 is lower. So is $13.35. So is $11.85. $12.55. And this. Make sense to everybody? Yep. Just on average, these contribution margins, these individual contribution margins are either higher or lower than average, above average or below average. Some are way above average, some are way below average, some are just about average. This will become important. Then my menu mix category, right? Oh no, this is the troublesome part. Hey, there we go. What was my menu mix? 7.7? Yeah, anybody? Okay, I don't have to move it. 7.7 is, 10.6 is higher than 7.7. This is higher, this is higher, this is lower, this is higher. This is higher, 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 a lot of higher, lower and lower. Does anybody disagree with any of those? Now let's categorize. Low contribution margin, high, so basically low profitability, high popularity. Low profitability, high popularity. People, love it, but I don't make a lot of money every time they purchase it. We call that a plow horse. High, high, star. Low, high, plow horse. High, low, puzzle. Remember, it is very profitable, not very popular. That's a puzzle. Hey, why aren't they buying that, right? High, high, star. So good, right? They love it and they buy it. And I make money on it. I like that. Low profitability, high popularity, plow horse. This is just writing this down somewhere and knowing it. I don't know how to tell you. Oh, rats. I thought I was going to fill in automatically for me. Will it? There you go. And then I have another plow horse. And then I got a couple of dogs. Low, 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 high, high, low. That's how to do that. Now we have to decide what to do with each of these items, right? This is just about studying and memorizing things and then applying it based on what I really want you to look. Managerial accounting is about asking questions and then making decisions based on those answers. Cost, volume, profit. There's a three-step process up until that point, but then all I'm asking you to do is say, can you how much new revenue has to be produced in order to make this decision? Remember cost, volume, profit, the last thing we did? And then you just have to say, can I make that much revenue? I'm not even asking you to make the decision. I'm just asking you to get to the point where if you were running that place and knew enough about it, that you could make the decision. And this gives you some information in order to make the decision. Say you're running this restaurant and you see that your 8-ounce steak is a plow horse. Okay, this is the part where you have to start taking notes or watch this later and take notes or something. Plow horse. We talked about it last time. It is a chugga, right? It brings people in, right? It's the thing that brings, boy, they got a deal on an 8-ounce steak. Let's go. We're over here going like, I don't make a lot of money when they buy this 8-ounce steak, but it's okay. They're coming in the door and I can train my staff to sell them other stuff, right? Did anybody ever wait tables? Anybody on Zoom? Did anybody ever wait tables?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever have fun selling more stuff to the table than they thought they were going to get and to bring the checkup? Was that fun for you?
Yeah, it was really fun.
I loved it, right? Yeah, people come in and they're like buying plow horses. They're buying all the deals. And you go, all righty, how about this? And before you know it, they've got a nice hefty check. And you're like, they had a good time. The food was great, but I got a nice tip. They were coming in trying to be cheap, and I made them have a nice night out, right? So this is what a plow horse does. Brings them in the door, and then it's my job to train my staff to sell stuff. Make sense? Now look, I can go back and double check. So if you're wondering whether or not something is a real plow horse, all you really have to do is check and see if it's doing what you want it to do. Bring people in the door and sell them other stuff. If you're looking at all your checks at the end of the night and it's just plow horse, plow horse, plow horse, and no appetizers, no desserts, no margaritas, that plow horse is not doing their job, right? So then I try to fix it. So, Paige, with a plow horse, what's the problem? Is it the popularity or the profitability is the problem with a plow horse? It's really popular. That's good. The profitability, right? Profitability, meaning either the price is wrong or the associated costs are wrong, right? Because profitability is my contribution margin. Profitability is how much money do I have left over after I buy the product to charge a price. So to fix profitability, I can either raise the price or lower the costs. If I want to lower the cost of making a steak, I take an 8-ounce steak and I turn it into a 7-ounce steak, right? That would lower the cost of the ingredient. I find it from another purveyor who sells it for less. Same product, sell it for less. That would lower the cost, my cost of that steak, right? So, or I just say, you know what? It's so popular, I can raise the price a little bit, and I don't care if some people don't buy it anymore. But I have to know how in this case, Paige goes, it has low profitability. That's why you thought the profitability is a problem, right? Correct? What is our average profitability? Remember, profitability is my contribution margin, right? And my average profitability was $14.97. Well, here I'm only making $13.45. On average on a dish, I'm making $14.97. For it to just get to average, I'd have to raise the price $1.50. So then this is the part where I have to make some decisions about my type of guest. Would they be willing to pay $1.50 more for this 8-ounce steak? I've got to make some guesses at this point. Remember, if the plow horse is doing its job, we leave it as it is. If it's not doing its job, meaning getting people to buy other stuff as well, then I have to decide to fix the problem. In this case, the low aspect is the problem. So I have to make $1.50 more in contribution margin every time I sell one of these for it even to match average contribution margin. So that means I either have to get rid of $1.50 of the costs associated with buying it, just the raw ingredients, or I've got to charge $1.50 more on the menu. Everybody understand that? Right? Right now I make $13.45 in contribution margin. On average, I make almost, we'll say $15 on each item, $14.97. This is way below average. So if it's not doing its job, I've got to fix it. If I can't fix it, I might just get rid of this one. That makes sense to everybody? Those are the steps with a plow horse. That's the questions I'd expect you to answer. A star. Hey, we got ourselves a star, and I think it's the big steak. The big steak is a star. It's profitable, and it is popular. Let's go over and see how profitable and how popular it is. Kenny, are you out there?
Yeah, my bad.
I
was taking myself off mute.
That's good, thanks. Do you remember what our average popularity for an item was?
Like 30%.
7.7%.
Oh.
So compared to the average, this steak, we see it's a star. Would you say that's pretty popular or really popular? If the average is 7.7 and the steak is 9.3.
It's pretty popular.
Yeah, it's quite popular. It's not super popular, but if something were like 7.9%, I'd say, well, it's popular, but it's barely popular, right? compared to the average of 7.7. This is pretty popular. And how profitable is it?
Give me a second.
Yep. There's my
For
popularity.
every steak,
Yeah,
every steak, you're getting
$15.15.
$15, yeah.
Yeah, what's my average profitability? Remember, $14.97. So how popular is this compared to average popularity?
It's still pretty popular because you're
Pretty
only making
popular.
like $1 over.
Yeah, yeah. So here's my point. We call this a star, right? Is it a big star or is it just like, it's kind of a star?
It's just a star. Like it's not
Yeah, it's
too
just
crazy.
a star.
Mhm.
Nothing to be ashamed of. This is like, I wish I knew stars anymore, right? This isn't Robert Downey Jr. This is somebody else from the Marvel universe that you go, oh, I think they play in that movie, right? They're definitely a star, but they're not Robert Downey Jr. So given that, Kenny, do you think I can afford to? Because remember, sometimes with a star, I say, leave it alone. It's doing its job. It's popular. People like it. It's profitable. I make some pretty good money on it. Or sometimes I look at a star and I go, you know what? Well, let's raise the price. So they love it so much that I can get even more for it. Which of those two do you think you might do here with this star?
Well, honestly, it's like making like $1 over your average.
Yes.
I would probably leave it, I think.
It's so hard to teach in Zoom. Not your fault, Kenny, but you faded away. I'm assuming that you're going to say, leave it alone.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. Now remember, in this case, I would too, because it's not so popular that I can raise $1 without people saying, forget that, I'm not ordering that steak anymore. Right?
Mhm.
It's not that popular. There are some things on this menu that are so popular, they'll be like, raise the price, make them pay more, they love it so much. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the things we think with a star. Leave it alone, or push it to make it even more profitable, market it, train your staff to sell it more. Let's make this thing so popular and get people addicted to it. And if I get it popular enough, guess what I do? I raise the price.
So
Business
what?
and drug dealing is the exact same business, right? If you get somebody who's addicted to a product, you can raise the price on it. Do not sell drugs, do not take drugs. Both are a bad road, but it's an interesting business model to look at.
Yo, so on average, how much more does
You
the
can't, no, you want, I know what you want. You want a very specific answer that if it's $1.12 more, raise the price. If not, don't. This is where you have to just ask the question, right?
Mhm.
And this is what being a manager is. Because otherwise, a computer could do the job. You have to look at your customer, your consumer. You have to be there every day. You have to talk to your staff and say, what do you think? Can we raise the price on this thing? How do you think people would react? Look, next week, I'm going to teach you a formula called elasticity. But that's only something you can measure after you've made your decision. But making these decisions is asking questions. How popular is it? What we saw, it's kind of popular. It's kind of profitable. When something's kind of, you know what? Leave it alone, probably. Or make it so popular, right? Raise the popularity to a point that then I can afford to raise the price. And even if some people don't buy it anymore, that's okay. I'm making so much more money on it and you don't care. Does it make sense, Kenny?
Yeah, it does.
Good. Okay, so we understand plow horses and puzzles. No, we don't
Joe.
understand puzzles. Yes.
How often do we do these sheets? Like in a business, how often do you
Yep.
typically?
You typically can't get away with changing your pricing more than, if you can do it twice a year, you're happy. You do these all the time, and then you act on it at the end of the year.
Because I was thinking about like a restaurant when they have like different specials, those usually change like daily. How
Mhm.
would you put those down on like as a menu item?
You don't, is the short answer.
Okay.
But specials are based on what I want to move out, right? Meaning, is there product that I want to move? Because, it's not, people always go, it's spoiled stuff. No, it's just stuff that I have a surplus on. Let's get this moving. So I put a special together. Or you've got a chef in the back who wants to be creative and you give them something that, you know, eventually you're going to get bored, right? Making this stuff, or your chefs are. By the way, I don't expect anybody who goes into business to be the person who is selling the menu. Meaning, I don't expect you to be a chef or a server or a floor worker in retail. You know what I mean? I expect you to be the person who's making larger decisions. So you might put a special in place to keep your staff happy because they go, oh, I'm bored with this. All right, make something new. We'll put it on special. Sometimes you have an idea that something might sell and you put it on special, and then you see how popular it is, and then it makes the main menu, right? Like on Saturday Night Live, right? They bring people on and they're featured guests, and then the next year they're part of the main staff. Same thing. But I wouldn't measure those specials against my regular menu. Does that answer your question, I hope?
Yes, thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah, it's a good question. And by the way, we talk about everything as a restaurant, but any business does that same thing, right? For a short period of time, promotes one item, even if it's off the main menu. But that's considered an anomaly. If I'm doing 365 days of this in total, then the 1 week I had of selling this product at this price or whatever isn't going to change this more than a portion of a percentage point.
Joe, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep going with Jenelise. You think that a restaurant that has a special, let's say every week, they could do they could put like the specials in like a sheet like this to see which one was more popular and which one they made more money?
Yep, over a whole time period. But
Okay.
you'd have to have enough of a time period to make the percentages make sense, right? Like if you only have a couple weeks worth, I wouldn't bother. But I might do it on a semi-annual basis, every 6 months. Take a look at it and then say whichever one is the star gets on the main menu, right? We keep that one. It's a great way to do it. And by the way, the bar can do this with cocktail specials. Retail space can do it. Anything that sells goods can do this. And by the way, you can do it with services as well, but we're not going to get into that. But this is about asking questions, right? So we have a puzzle. Zach, we have a puzzle. There is this thing that has high profitability, but low popularity. I forgot the word popularity. This is bad news. Do you think the first thing I would do here, Zach, is to see how profitable is it and how unpopular it is?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. I don't even know what this is. Veal marsala. Did you ever have veal marsala? It's one of the first things I learned how to cook in a kitchen. I bet they don't make it anymore. Who cares? Focus. So, what do you think? How unpopular is this veal marsala?
Oh, it's pretty unpopular, I think.
It's pretty unpopular. Probably only 55-year-olds and above even know what this is, right? And how profitable is it?
It's almost $1, I think, profitable.
Yeah. So it's not that profitable.
No.
Right? Okay. So what do I do with the puzzle? If I have given it, remember, if I find that it's really, really profitable, I'm going to have to figure out a way how to make it more popular, right? But what do I think about veal marsala? Do I want to fix it? Do I want to get rid of it? How could I fix it?
Fixing it, you just market it different.
Yeah.
On the menu or.
Yep. Because in this case, we want to fix, right? The low part is the popularity, right? It's pretty unpopular. So let's, how do we doll this thing up to make it more popular? Now, do you see how being popular doesn't mean lowering the price? I don't want to F up the profitability. Most people will be like, lower the price, you'll sell more. Well, then I've just turned it into a dog. And it's not that profitable, frankly. If it was hugely profitable, I'd be like, oh yeah, you know what, I can afford to knock $1 off, make it more popular. This is not profitable enough. It's not even making $1 in profit, right, in contribution margin. So how do I dull this up, Zach? Give me a couple of ideas how to make it more profitable. Remember, these are two different things. Don't go to lowering the price all the time. What would you do?
I mean, you can, on the menu, you can switch the positioning of where it is or
Yes.
make it stand out more on the menu somehow.
Yeah. Maybe you would rename it. If you're thinking to yourself, nobody knows what Ville Marsala is, but it is good. Marsala wine, everybody. Veal pounded real thin, so tender. Maybe you rename it, right? Maybe that's the problem. You have to take a look at it and say, why is it so unpopular? Yes.
Can't you like train your staff to, like when they first seat them, oh, like have you tried this
Absolutely.
on our menu stuff?
For sure. I've always trained staff no matter what, and I've run a lot of different stuff, by the way. I haven't just run restaurants, and not just hospitality. I've had every job. If you ever want to get bored, just ask me. I'll go on and on. But the idea is exactly that. If I want to push the Ville Marsala, if I want to pick it up, then just train my staff to start selling it. Give them an incentive. I worked at a place where we had amazing desserts. And if you sold the most of, say, Ville Marsala, we're trying to push Ville Marsala, make it a more popular item on the menu, fix it. All they would do is say, at the end of the night, you get your choice of any of our great desserts. We had this French pastry chef, and you could have any one of the desserts. Cost the place probably, $2.80. But we were fighting to be the one to get that dessert. Oh, also, you didn't have to do part of the side work, so you could sit and eat a dessert while everybody else cleaned. It's awesome, really great. Plus, everybody hated each other because I always won. So, so maybe they just hated me. So the Ville Marsala, yeah. Now, by the way, there's a problem with that to a degree because when you're getting them to buy the Ville Marsala, they might not be buying something else, right? Well, they're not going to buy two things. So if you want to redirect, so if you want to train your staff to sell one thing, it better be something that is worth making popular. So I think maybe it was Rosie who asked me about training your staff. Was it?
No, it was me, Jenelise.
Oh, sorry, Jenelise. Would you use that tactic for Ville Marsala?
I don't think so. I think I would probably use one of the plow horses or something.
Yeah, well,
I feel
remember,
like it's
plow
more
horses I don't
likely.
have to sell. It already sells on its own. It's super popular. But I think you're right with this Ville Marsala because it's not that profitable, right? So if I'm saying like, yeah, let's sell the Ville Marsala, let's make it more popular. Well, they might be choosing that over something else that is more profitable. So that is a good question to ask. I don't know if it's the tactic I would use in this case, but it's a great question. And that's based on how profitable it is and how unpopular it is. In this case, I would just try to figure out how to make it more popular, but not do such a good job at it that it becomes so popular than other dish that I want to sell a lot of. It can backfire. Everything can backfire. Yeah, Paige.
Would it be like an idea to give to like a chicken masala or something?
Absolutely. Veal is not popular anymore. It just isn't because it's a really cruel process. Let's just say that.
But would that like take away because the chicken breast does so well? So that would take away.
You're asking the right questions. I don't know, right? But these are the questions to ask and then enact a strategy. Paige is saying maybe, because it's the only veal on the menu, right? It's the only thing, so are we ordering all this veal or ordering any veal for something that's only 6% popular? That might be just dumb, right? To even have veal in-house. Paige is saying, you know what? We have this crazy popular chicken breast in-house. We already have the chicken breast. All we do is remove the veal, make the chicken breast a thin cutlet, make it the exact same way. I get rid of something in inventory that is probably going bad every once in a while because I never sell it. And maybe I can charge the same price for it because I know my costs are going to go down because chicken breast is cheaper than veal. So that might be a very good idea. But what if this restaurant on the menu says, famous for its Ville Marsala since 1928? Shit, I can't do that.
Well, then you could change it.
Yeah. Or live with it, right? Or live with it, right? And by the way, you aren't marked on whether you would do this or that. You're marked on whether or not you understand the questions you would ask. And this is the fun part, frankly, this is the only fun part about running your own business or being the manager, is making decisions and knowing your public and saying, what would I do? Now, if I do this, what might happen here? Got it? But that's a plow horse. Sometimes I want to make it more popular because it's super profitable. Other times I go, leave it alone. Other times I say, let's figure out a way to make it more popular, but also more profitable at the same time. That's what changing it to chicken would do. Probably more popular, definitely more profitable. Maybe that's the thing to do. Change it enough that it's the same dish but different. Gotcha? So these are the kind of questions you're going to have to ask yourself. And if anybody's just sort of existing in class, and I know it's easy to do, you won't do well on a test for this, because you think that that this part, right, is what it is. I gave you all the formulas. That's just knowing how to click things in Excel. Salmon steak is a dog. Bridget, is it a real bad dog? What was our average popularity? 7.7, right? The salmon steak is 5.7. Would you call that a real bad dog, or, you know, just a little bit of a bad dog?
Slightly.
Slightly. Well, you know what? Take a look at the lasagna, which is also a dog. 7.1. It's like it's barely not a dog, right? It's 7.7. But if we take a look at the salmon steak compared to, it is the biggest dog on the menu, right? When we take a look at the difference, we have to think of the difference from 7.7. So yeah, slightly is right. If you meant that sarcastically. I think you did. I don't know.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I call this like a big bad dog because it is so unpopular. But maybe it's only a little bit unprofitable. What's the profitability every time I sell one of these, meaning the contribution margin? $12.55. I have $12.55 left every time I sell a salmon steak. What's my average contribution margin? Do you remember? It's okay if you don't, just tell me and I'll tell you.
I don't remember.
$14.97. So this is a bad dog, you know what I mean? It has a much lower contribution margin than average. It has a much lower popularity than average. So it's both very unpopular and very unprofitable. What would you do with this specific dog, given that information? Richard. What do you think a smart decision might be, given that specific information? Because we can't just say, oh, it's a dog, do this. Anybody else have an idea of what they might do?
Can't you try it different? Because I know like salmon steak is usually one specific cut of the thing. Maybe trying a different cut or different pairings with it or something.
Yeah, sure. So we can try to, so you're saying increase that popularity.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Sometimes when something is this unpopular, I say, why spend all my time trying to make this really unpopular thing popular? That is a good question to ask. In this case, it is so unpopular because when I ask those questions, the way I answer them is, well, how much of a climb do I have to make this thing even average popularity? I have to sell a whole lot more to make it even average popularity.
But I feel like, sorry, because like looking at the crab legs that's right above, we get barely, like, literally nothing for those, like the $11.85 for those, but it has not such a high popularity, but it is popular than average, and we get less than what we get for the salmon.
Absolutely. So yeah, crab legs. What do you think crab legs is? It's probably a plow horse, huh? Yeah. So when we take a look at crab legs, we'd say, is crab legs doing its job? Crab legs better be bringing them in, right? Because it looks like a pretty good deal. And it's kind of popular. We're not getting a lot on it. So everything, we have to look at everything separately, but yeah. But here's the point, if I bring salmon's popularity up, then I have something that's popular, but still not profitable.
Not really gaining much out of it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And these are just questions we're asking. I like the ideas you're having. We just have to decide whether or not it makes sense, right? So is salmon steak worth making more profitable and more popular? Because we have to attack the thing that's wrong. In this case, it's not profitable enough and it's not popular enough. Let's get rid of the salmon.
That I was gonna say that you could
You're
get
not
rid of the
willing.
salmon. I was gonna say you could get rid of the salmon because you already have sole fillet. It's not like
Yeah.
you're taking all the fish out the menu.
Exactly. So you're still providing choice and you're not stuck with all this salmon steak. And I bet you buy it frozen and the quality's not great anyway. And it's a pain in the ass every time you sell a salmon steak. Everybody's like, oh, great. Let's go into the depths of the freezer and figure out if we can get one poached and, you know, all this. Ooh, yeah. Lasagna is also a dog.
So that one you would get rid of.
I would. It's a real loser, right? It is a big, think about it though, right? As opposed to, because remember, this particular situation is never going to come up again, right? Meaning if I give you homework, when I give you homework, like it's not going to have salmon steak as a dog again. It's going to be a whole different menu. So we can't just be like, oh, okay, so in that case, it's definitely get off the menu. It is only get it off the menu if it's both really unpopular, really unprofitable, and it doesn't serve any third purpose. Why bother, right? You know what I mean? So I do have to look at the category. We have to do all this to get the category, and then I have to say, okay, is it a big star or just kind of a big star? Is the plow horse doing his job or not? The puzzle, what if I fix, how can I fix the problem? In that case, it's the low popularity. And if so, is it worth doing that? Same thing with the salmon steak. Can I do enough to it to make it both much more popular and much more profitable? Well, geez, I got other things to do. I've got other menu items to take care of. Goodbye, salmon. Steak, lasagna, I might come up with another idea. It's almost profitable and it's almost popular. I bet I could fix the lasagna, raise the price, or either lower the cost to make it more profitable, and then figure out how to make it more popular. It could be just stuck on the menu, nobody looking for it. Stick it between 2 stars, right? We talked about that. Change the menu, change the description. I bet I could work on that one because it's almost popular. And with a little tweak, I could make it profitable by lowering food cost and raising price, some combination of the two. Did we use up all our time? It's okay if we did. All right. So for a homework, what I would have you do is exactly this. Do this part. You guys, I give you you just have to click this and then click that. Just make sure that your cells are ready to accept it. And then do this and this and this, right? Just do one of these. But the big thing, and that's like, if you think of it as a 100-point homework, that's 20% of it. The other 80% are your comments. Once you get your categories set, you're going to have to talk about each one and give your ideas of what you might do, what questions you might ask based on how we discussed it today. The category just gives it quite a specific, is it a puzzle? Is it a plow horse? Is it a dog? Is it a star? But then you have to ask the questions we asked and then just come up with some type of strategy for each item. You will wait too long to start this. You will get confused with one of the simple formulas, and I won't be available to answer real quick with like, no, just do this to get you back on track. You will think that this part is only going to take you a couple of minutes when you are going to have a bunch of different, I think at least 11 things to cover. And you're going to think I can do that in half an hour when really it's going to take you an hour and a half. Plus I have another piece of homework for you as well. This is because we don't meet again until Tuesday. So you have 2 different things to do. Let me show you what they are. One of these is one of them.
Is our test next week?
You'll be, and I'm going to keep putting that off. I'll give you at least 7 days notice for a test. And I've talked to you too about a common time. But you know, this is all future stuff. Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to give you a 7-day notice for a test. I think we probably have to move it to the next Tuesday. That's okay, right? But just because it's later doesn't mean that's better for anybody, unless I don't know. The other classes are like, I know. Everybody gives everything at the same time all the time. This is what the claim is. Alrighty. Let me go in here. Let me find the thing I want to share with you. No, that's not it. Why can't I see it? Oh, because I'm a dummy. It's a bad feeling. Cool. Okay, so there is a cost, volume, profit homework remember from that last time. I have put together a video that brings through step by step. I invite you to watch the video, stop the video, do that part, return to the video, do that part. You know, give yourself a chance to do it right. And here is what it looks like. Everything's there for you. Please remember to prepare yourselves first, right? And then there are 2 questions associated with it. Read everything, including like this stuff down here, the entire question. It's just a multi-step process. That's one piece of homework. The second piece of homework is I'm making the in-class example. This in-class example will now be a homework piece. I had a 3rd one for you to do on homework, but we didn't get this far. So don't worry about this one. You can't even see this on your student view. You will see menu engineering in-class example. I'm going to change that to menu engineering homework 1, and then put a due date of Tuesday on it. And that is, in fact, the, you know, the thing, right? What we just did. Or maybe I'll do the beer one if this one is too similar. Here's the point: you have to do one of these for homework. Sound good? Sound fun? But the one I have you is draft beers. Like you're the bar manager. Same ideas. Just you, your bar, all your Paige is ready to go. So we'll go. No, it's okay. So Paige has got it. It was like, well, time to clock out. So I guess we will. But remember, the one I'm giving you is about bar. So you're looking at going to a bar, all those taps. You got like 15 craft beer taps. That is the menu that we're going to be working with. Not a traditional menu, not a menu of retail gear for mountaineering. It's craft beer brewing. Same concepts. Those 2 things. Those 2 things. I'm going to go ahead and change those things right now.
Yo, so we just got those 2 assignments due on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, that'll keep you busy. That's enough, I think.
All right.
All right, so one is the
Cost, volume, profit.
yep, cost, volume, profit, boom exercise, which is here. And then the second one is the menu engineering homework beer. And there's the Excel spreadsheet is here, and you submit it here. All right.
because I can't raise no beyond.
What?
I said if I need to look back at anything.
Every time
like,
you talk, everybody moves their chair. It's like they're doing it on purpose. Ask me one more time, please.
So if I need to watch the videos again, I could find them on Canvas, right?
Yeah, well, what I'm gonna do is turn today's into an MP4 for you, because I know for some reason people can't get to the stored ones.
Yeah.
And there's one I already made
For the
for,
cost. Okay.
yep, for the other one,
All right. Thank you.
for the cost volume profit.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yep, cool.
All right.
I might redo that again because it's just not, it's still grainy. I might do that one again. So if I do, look for it right in the same space.
All right.
Goodbye.
Okay.
What's up?
Just want to talk about the retake tests.
Yeah.
I just wanna, like, next week is, super